Hey everybody, Hannah Mandala here. Thanks so much for tuning into my video. Please make sure you subscribe to my channel and give this video a thumbs up. On Tuesdays, I do talkative videos like movie reviews, book reviews like this one where I'm going to be talking about The Courage to Be Disliked by Ichiro Kishimi. And then on Fridays, I do vlog videos where you guys get to see my life. As you can see, I'm very tan right now, and that's because I live out of my suitcase and I travel the world with my partner. Yeah, work from our laptop. So the Friday videos are usually pretty fun. And yeah, make sure you subscribe. I finished 2019 reading the book, The Courage to Be Disliked. And I am so flippin' happy that I closed the last decade reading that book, and I'm starting this new decade with the newfound wisdom, ideologies, and mindset hacks that I learned from this book. I want to share like the 3 biggest things that I learned from this book. Hopefully entice you guys to read this book on your own, because it is not, you don't want to put it down. They're like profound ideas said in a very simple way, and the book is super easy to read because it's simply a dialogue between a philosopher and a youth, and it's just so easy to take in all this beautiful information. If you're anything like me, focusing on making sure that your mental and emotional state is the healthiest that it has ever been so you can live your happiest life ever, then this book is definitely going to be something that you want to read. It's by no means is it the holy grail, but it has definitely like shifted how I think. The first thing that has really impacted how this book has influenced my life, essentially the rejection of cause and effect. So an example of cause and effect for me, well, this is getting personal, would be like, what would it be? A lot of the time I always thought that my relationships with men were always bad, and that because I didn't trust them, because my dad was untrustworthy growing up, so I don't trust anybody because I couldn't trust anyone when I was growing up. So that falls within the category of Freudian psychology, and this book rejects Freudian psychology. It rejects cause and effect and focuses on psychology put forth by Adler, individual psychology. It's essentially, instead of the psychology of cause and effect, is the psychology of courage and acceptance. So instead of having a cause and effect, so if I'm feeling untrustworthy or creating this dialogue in my head that they aren't worthy of me trusting them, Adler psychology is, why are you creating this story in your mind to project this illusion onto this person as something from your past and putting into this present moment, and like determining how you interact with that person. After reading that, I was like, hot damn, like everything when it comes, reflect back on your conversations with people. I have friends all the time be like, oh yeah, I interact this way because my mom treated me this way, so this is how I am. Or, oh yeah, I experienced this in the past, so because of this is why I am the way that I am. And this is just how it is, and this is how it's always going to be, and this is how my life is going to be for the rest of my life. Instead of having the past define you, this book is suggesting that you don't attribute that experience to be the be-all, end-all definition meaning of your life. So it's saying that like the meaning that you attribute to your past experiences shouldn't leak. They shouldn't define your entire life trajectory. Those experiences, good or bad, shouldn't like leak into the future, into right now. It shouldn't poison the present moment. Some people are like, oh, but you can't turn off the past. Obviously, everything that happens in our life defines us, but it's not about having those situations like leak in and distort reality. It's about taking responsibility for right now and seeing right now as an own individual, like dot. And I find that this concept is super liberating. I don't need to feel upset right now because of that thing that happened in the past, because this situation is different. And if you see recurring patterns in your life, especially if they're bad patterns, be like, wait a second. Adler psychology is going to suggest that patterns are happening because you're creating it, that you are letting it manifest, and that you need to take responsibility, change your circumstances, change your mindset, do something to change it. For a long time, throughout all of my like 6 years of university, my God, I really believe that you can't reject like the larger social system and constraints and economic circumstances. And that's true, like we live within certain systems, but that doesn't negate your individual capacity. And a big thing about Adler psychology is that it's not that you lack ability, you have ability. It's just that you lack the courage. And speaking of courage, that brings me to the second point. Deny the desire for recognition. And essentially that means be courageous enough to accept who you are, to act in a respectful, courteous, like empathetic way, but to come to terms with the fact that by you being you, not everyone's gonna like you because everyone's at a different point of their life. To accept yourself is to accept the fact that people aren't gonna like you, and you need to be courageous enough to be able to do that. I freaking love that. They really hit a home run with this point when the philosopher explained by living for recognition and the desire to be praised. It's like, first of all, why are you trying to live life according to somebody else's expectations? Denying the desire for recognition means that you're denying having your life defined by other people's expectations. This I was thinking about as well. So I live in Mexico with my partner, and I do things like I caught after reading that, I caught myself once after that. Like I did something and I was like waiting for like recognition for it, and I was like, wait a second, I read about this in the book, Deny the Desire for Recognition. And I like sat and I contemplated it, and I'm like, why am I needing to be recognized for this right now? Why is this like a transaction type thing? I do A, you should do B. Because when you do that, the book talks about this, when you're doing it in that kind of transactional kind of way, it speaks to you living an illusion. It's just like, okay, I'm gonna do this, so I should be acknowledged or praised in this way, and this is how happiness is. And it's like, no, because then if that person doesn't act the way that you expect them to, if you're not praised the way that you expect them to, then there's going to be hurt feelings. There's going to be like, oh, why don't you appreciate me? Why aren't you doing this? Blah, 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 blah. This is another thing. It's just really liberating to be like, when you're doing things, you're doing it because you're accepting who you are. You're doing it because you care about the well-being of others. You express love. You see other people as friends and comrades. Oh, this is another point, denying the desire for recognition. That's also like a flawed framework of thinking, because having desire or being praised is hierarchical. It's like a vertical thing, seeing other people in vertical senses, either above you or below you. Adler psychology is like, you don't do that. This is all about individuals, and all individuals are equal. So you need to not think of things as vertical relationships. You need to think of them as horizontal relationships. So you know that there's no competition between other people, that people are your friends, that you don't need to always be thinking you're better or worse than someone, and then living within this idea to always be in comparison with others or living to others people's expectations. We're all on our own path. You need to be individual, and life's gonna be good. And I'm just like, yes, I completely agree. The third point that I think is a big takeaway in this all is to have unconditional confidence. And I'm like, when I read that, I was like, unconditional confidence. So it's like, we've all heard of unconditional love and like having a lot of trust and all this kind of thing. And Adler psychology suggests that this is kind of like a transactional thing. It's just like, I'm going to trust you as long as we follow these terms and conditions. But unconditional confidence, on the other hand, is about, I'm going to respect you and like love you as a friend, as a life partner, or family member, whatever. When you have confidence in another person, you're able to have a strong foundation for an interpersonal relationship. Instead of having a foundation of a relationship built off of doubt, you're gonna have this like doubtful foundation, and you're not gonna be able to build a kind, loving, beneficial relationship. But having confidence in a person means you trust that person knows that you trust them. And then when there's like that good feeling energy exchange between people, like good vibes, then you're obviously gonna be able to have like the joyful full experience that life is supposed to be. Because ultimately, we humans can't live in isolation. Like, we have to be able to interact with people. I mean, like, these ideas are pretty simple, but I love how they are propelling you into the present moment, that you need to shine your light onto this present moment and not dim it over the past and the future. Otherwise, when you're doing that, you're just living a cause and effect life. And you don't want that, because then you're just suspended between the past and the present, which don't matter, because right now is all that you have. And it's just really helped whenever I feel an emotional like strain, or if I'm like, oh, I'm feeling uncomfortable right now. It's just like, okay, wait a second. The past doesn't define me. I don't know what the future holds. Is this what's happening right now true? Is this emotion grounded in anything real? Usually it's no. It's just like, no. This isn't actually what's happening right now. I'm just attributing a lot of baggage with it, and I am attributing a lot of negatives to it because I have this idea. I'm living within this ideology, this illusion, and the things aren't playing out to this illusion. So now everything's a big catastrophe. It's liberating to be like, nope, actually that isn't true. And I highly suggest this book if you want to have a bit of liberation from your mind. If you feel like you're in like a constant like hamster wheel just going around and around, and like all these negative emotions keep recurring in your life, read this book. Read this book. So thank you so much for sticking to the end. If you have not subscribed, please do so down below, and I'll see you guys in my next video. Thank you so much.